The Adventures of Bayou Billy.
Hey folks, welcome to episode 3 of 365 Days of the NES. Today we are going to talk about The Adventures of Bayou Billy. The Adventures of Bayou Billy being a combination beat-em-up shooting and driving game from Konami, released in America in 1989. This game has a rather interesting history attached to it. It was released in Japan originally under the name of Mad City in 1988. And in this wonderful little piece of NES history, Billy West must save his girlfriend Annabelle Lane from Godfather Gordon and his gang. To do this, Billy must make his way through 9 stages, 5 of them side-scrolling 2D fighting stages, 2 of them third-person driving stages, and 2 of them first-person auto-scrolling shooting stages that made use of the zapper. Or just the normal old controller. If you didn't have one, you could use a controller. Billy's repertoire of attacks in the 2D fighting stages include a punch, a kick, and a jump kick. A pretty useless punch and jump kick. Punch having really crap range and jump kick being really hard to connect with. You can also pick up various weapons along the way, including a stick. Yep, a stick. A whip, knives, rocks, and guns. Guns being very rare and very powerful. And there were also some power-ups you could pick up throughout the stages, including a bulletproof vest, which, as its name would suggest, stops bullets and reduces damage taken a little bit. And also some chicken that would restore your health. Shooting stages, you could pick up ammo, you could pick up health med kits to restore your health, stars, which would act like a mega crush, and an hourglass, which would give you temporary unlimited ammunition. The shooting stages were from Billy's perspective and scrolled from left to right relatively slowly, while you, the character, had to shoot some of the members of Godfather Gordon's gang to keep them from shooting you first, picking up power-ups along the way by firing at them. You had very limited ammo in these situations, so it's a good idea to not use a lot of it. At the end of the stage, you would usually have to fight a helicopter. The driving stages put you in a third-person perspective. You would be behind Billy's Jeep. And there were no power-ups on these stages. But you had to take the Jeep and steer down a road, avoiding other Jeeps, rocks, oil spills, helicopters, airplanes, and road signs, with nothing but your machine guns and grenades to protect you. You had to make it from one end of the stage to the other before the time ran out. The game is known for being very, very difficult, and oddly enough, this is one of the few instances in where the original Japanese version of the game was much easier. In the international version, the beat-em-up sections, enemies move much faster and have 3 times the amount of health that they would normally have. You also get less ammo in the shooting sections of the game. Some other noticeable differences. In the Japanese version, Annabelle is shown as being kidnapped wearing a red dress, while in the American version, she's got the much more Dukes of Hazzard red midriff shirt and denim shorts on. Also, the Japanese version had multiple endings, one of which being the end of the relationship of Billy and Annabelle. The game gave you the option to break up with her after you save her. Interesting, huh? Also, the Japanese manual states that Billy is a veteran of the Vietnam War, while the manual for the international version doesn't seem to mention this at all. This is also one of the few NES games with DPCM-coded voice samples. That's differential pulse code modulation for you techies. This appeared in the game in a couple of instances. At the beginning of the game, our assumed hero's voice would pop up and say, "The Adventures of Bayou Billy." And at the very end of the game, he would pop up and say, "Bye." The only other instances of the voice samples in the game were Gordon laughing at you in between stages. Another interesting bit of trivia, Bayou Billy appeared in an episode of Captain N the Game Master. And it was very much Paul Hogan-y, Crocodile Dundee-ish in the episode. And as something of a homage to the game, one might say, it was said in the Captain N episode that the good old captain was never able to beat Bayou Billy the game either. This game received an average score of about 5 out of 10. Now this game, I actually have somewhere. My uncle had it when I was a kid, and when he got rid of his NES, he gave it to me along with a couple of other games. And I remember keeping Bayou Billy thinking, one of these days, I'm going to beat this game. It has never happened without the use of Game Genie. Probably never will happen. If I ever do get around to playing through it, I'm going to try and find the Japanese version, because it might actually be doable. Mostly this game is noted for its difficulty. Obviously, we've talked about that, even to the point of it being kind of made fun of in Captain N the Game Master for its excessive difficulty. But also the music. The music is quite good. One thing that it doesn't really get a lot of good press for, though, is the mixture of styles, going from the 2D Final Fight-ish beat-em-up sections to the auto-scrolling shooting sections that, required you to have the zapper or a controller. Shouldn't say required then, should I? And the driving sections, which moved a lot like racing games did. It's a fun game. It is frustrating, though. It is very hard. But it's one of those games that just kind of became a bit of NES and Konami lore.